Okay, guys. So now let's first try to understand what is actually cryptography. Okay, before we actually dive into the base concepts. Okay, let's first try to understand what actually is cryptography. Okay, so this word cryptography has actually a Greek origin. Okay, it's actually a mixture of two words or a combination of two words. The first word is cryptos. Okay, which means something which is hidden or secret. Okay, and the second word is graphene, okay, which stands for writing or studying something. Okay, so if we combine these two words, it will stand for hidden writing, hidden studying, or secret writing. Okay, so what does this term first means actually? Okay, so it means that a way of writing or way of studying something, okay, which is secret or hidden. Okay, so it's kind of like not anyone can read it or not anyone can actually write it. Okay, it's something like that kind of a writing. Okay, so that's what the definition evolves now, okay, about cryptography, that it's an art of writing or solving codes, okay, and codes over here is the hidden or secret writing, okay, and in most simple terms, it is a form of writing, guys, which only you or the other partner for whom you are writing the message is supposed to understand actually. So not everyone can understand it. Okay, a very good example I can give it to you, okay, which is a very passive example, okay, but I can just you can just relate to it, that we all have our own languages, right? So many of you guys are from Africa, some of you are from United States, some of you are coming from some other part of the world, okay, and you all have your own languages. Okay, now if suppose you are talking with your friend in your own language, and I myself, Sumita Wo, who is from another part of world, okay, so I cannot understand actually what you are speaking, okay, just because I don't know your language, okay. So in a way you are talking about something, okay, which is prohibiting me to understand your thing, okay. Why? Because you are understanding in form of a language, okay, or some predefined form of communication which I cannot understand. Okay, that's kind of like hidden for me or secret for me. Okay, if I do understand your language, then I can all make sense of all the words that you are uttering from your mouth, what you are trying to talk about and things like that. Okay, so in the similar way, cryptography is a very general term which means that when you are writing, okay, or reading something in a hidden or secret way, okay, which is not meant for everyone else to understand, okay, and we also call those words, those hidden writings or things like that, as codes, okay, codes. And you would have heard this term in many sci-fi films and things, right? Like that people are cracking codes and stuff like that. Okay, so here codes nothing means nothing but just an encrypted way of writing. Okay, although we'll come into this word encryption at a later point of time in our lecture, but it's just some some scrambled words or things like that, which only you or the who have written that code, obviously, or someone for whom you have written the code, only he can understand. Okay, so it's something like a form of secure communication, guys, okay, in presence of adversaries. What does adversaries means? Adversaries means someone with whom you are trying to trying to avoid that person, okay, or you might think that if he reads those messages he can cause some damage to you and you don't want him to read that. Okay, to give you a very small example, okay, that say for example, in our past world war time, right, we all are aware about the two big world wars that happened in our world, right? So at the time of world war, okay, many army personals used to communicate message with their soldiers on ground, okay, using these hidden messages or secret messages actually. Okay, so the main purpose was that, say for example, they are planning an attack on some enemy base, but if they write it in a very generic term, right, like some kind of a generic radio communication or some generic letter, okay, written in English or thing like that, okay, it might be very easy for the other enemy, okay, to understand it if they ever got hold of that message, right? So in that way, it can actually cause their plan to totally crash of attacking them, okay? As a result of which they developed some ways of, some ways of communicating in a way that no one else apart from them can understand that message, okay? And they actually developed many forms of codes, ways of encrypting these messages, which will come into detail at a later point of time. But the major purpose was to have a secure communication in presence of adversaries or enemies, okay? So that's also one way you can define cryptography, okay, like the purpose of cryptography, okay? Over here I've given a small example of a code, okay? Just take a look into it, okay? It says some scramble characters, right? XXX. Can you guys tell me what does it mean actually? I guess not, right? Because it's not making any sense to you apart from some scrambled characters, okay? But guys, I want you to realize that it might be a code, okay, for some person, okay? Like it might be a form of a secret message which you and I are not able to understand, but the recipient of the message or the person who might have written it, okay, might have some meaning behind these scrambled words, okay? We might not realize it at this point of time, okay? So this is an example of a code or a hidden message which is not meant for everyone to read, okay? Okay, now coming guys to the next part of the slide, okay, which talks about what actually led to its evaluation, what led to the evaluation of cryptography, okay? So I would explain it in the most simple terms, so we all know that when first human being appeared on this planet, he was alone, okay? He was alone, and it didn't took him much time to build some small civilizations, because it's a basic need of a human being to stay with each other, right? To meet their basic needs of food, basic needs of security, and things like that, okay? So when these civilizations developed, okay, and when they started communicating with each other, okay, so at that time there were like many civilizations, okay, that appeared, okay, slowly, and it became actually necessary for them to communicate selectively, okay? The main reason for that is the fact that these civilizations were soon involved into wars, okay, with each other, okay? And when they went into wars, okay, there was a need to communicate with each other in a secure way, okay? Build some secure form of communication or a new language actually, to keep out these adversaries or enemies, okay, from eavesdropping their messages or things like that, okay? So that's how it evolved, okay? And the way I explained it, you might also get an idea that it's very old as well, okay? Because it's almost as old as when civilizations first appeared on this planet, okay? It's as old as that, okay? So I want you to again explain it in a very clear way, that when first civilizations evolved in this planet, and soon when they started fighting with each other for resources, food and things like that, okay, then they wanted to have some form of communication, okay, which kind of keeps out their enemies, okay, so that they can communicate with each other in a secure way, and can actually win the war, okay, through that communication, okay. So that was the need of cryptography at the first place, to build that system, okay. And all these things slowly ensured the evolution of cryptography with time, okay. So in the previous slide, I gave you an example of World War One and World War Two, right? Like it's pretty much modern as compared to the example that I told you about the civilizations, okay? But still, these things actually kept on, helping this technology or this concept to evolve with time, which is cryptography, guys. To corroborate my stuff, when I told you that it's a very old thing, okay, I have just put up an example, guys, for you, that the picture that you're seeing on the screen right now, it's called a hieroglyph, okay. It's from Egypt. It's an ancient Egypt writing, guys, okay. And if you and I see it, okay, we might not make any sense of it apart from seeing some pictures, right, like of birds, one human being, some fishes or things like that, right? But can you guys guys tell me what does this picture actually means? I guess not, right? Okay, neither do I. Okay, the reason is it's an ancient secret form of writing, okay, which Egyptians developed at that time, and it's almost 4,000 years old, guys. Okay, so that kinds of gives you an idea that the technology or the concept that we are learning together, it's a very old concept. Okay, it's not something that has evolved right now or in past couple of years. It's something that has been going on for a long time, and its primary reason of evaluation was to realize this secure or secret form of communication between individuals. Okay, and just to keep out the adversaries. Okay, so keep that point in mind, guys. Okay, so that's it, guys, for this lecture on a very brief introduction about cryptography. Okay, and if there are any doubts, do let me know in the question and answer section. Okay, I would be happy to answer that. Okay, and if you have time, please do join me in the next lecture. Thank you, guys.